Hi everyone, Renee here, and today's video I'm continuing the conversation on retinoids. So today's video is focused on how to use retinoids effectively, because when you're talking about an ingredient that's this powerful, it's not simply about where do you put it in your routine or where to use it in your routine. It's more about the journey, how to build up to the type or strength that suits you the most or will give you the best results. So I'm going to share with you a lot of the things I learned and I did on my journey that just really made this not just seamless, but effective. I really built up to the strength that I think is just doing great things for me at the moment. My first video on this was a breakdown of all the different retinoids that are available to us. So whether it's non-prescription, prescription, retinol, retinol alternatives, or retinol esters. I mean, it's confusing. So hopefully that can help you determine a little more what the differences between them are. If you have skin that is tolerant, non-reactive, you don't really have a history of sensitivity, then you very well may be able to go straight to retinol or tretinoin and obviously, build up from there. Now, if your skin has a tendency towards sensitivity, it can be reactive. Sometimes when you're using acids or stronger acids, you get a lot of redness. Or if you can't tolerate certain active ingredients well or layering them together, then that's when you will have to consider prepping your skin before going on the stronger retinols or tretinoin. I split retinols into two categories. First, the non-invasive, which would be, ingredients like HPR, hydroxypinocolone retinoid, which are found in products like Luna, Sunday Riley's Luna, as well as their A+. And it's also in granactive retinoids, in the Ordinary, Inky List. In fact, there are countless products now and formulations that do contain this ingredient. Retinol palmitate is another non-invasive form of retinoid. Now, bacuchile is a bit of an outlier, even though it's marketed as a retinol alternative or plant-based retinol. It's not a descendant of the retinoid family. So you don't need to exercise the same level of caution using these products as you would for like legitimate percentages of retinol or anything stronger than that. Which is why I consider HPR a great place to start your journey or when you're prepping for your journey. I feel like this time of year, spring, summer, start prepping your skin for maybe introducing something stronger, like whether it's a tretinoin or a retinol for the fall. You really don't want to go through an adaptation period with uber sensitized skin during the summer when the sun is just so oppressively strong. In fact, there are a lot of people who stop using retinols in the summer or tretinoin and use this instead and then go pick it back up in the fall. Now that I'm using retinaldehyde and my skin responds so well to it, I'm going to use it straight through the summer. So I am rosacea prone. I get a lot of redness from inflammation, which in turn exacerbates my hyperpigmentation. Super annoying, but one of the big downsides of retinoic acid and retinols, it can really cause redness. So one amazing tip that I got from Dr. Sam Bunting. We did a video together, but a great way to prep your skin before using retinol is by using azelaic acid. So azelaic acid is usually what's prescribed for rosacea, but also has a really good impact on the redness and the inflammation, those red marks that are left behind from acne. So not only does azelaic acid treat inflammation, but it has the ability to dial down the skin's sensitivity levels and make your skin less sensitive over time. The one that I love the most is from Paula's Choice. It's their 10% azelaic acid booster. This one has so much cosmetic elegance. It's got a gel creaminess that sinks in and absorbs almost immediately and just really doesn't leave anything behind. It feels hydrating. But yeah, it's just a beautiful formula to use, I would say, after your hydrating products. I find this to be really non-irritating, but even though it is addressing inflammation and redness, this is still a strong product at 10%. It's still really concentrated. So you would want to slowly introduce this into your routine as well. This is a booster. It mixes beautifully with serums, with moisturizers, or you can just start off by using this alone once every few days and then just build up to more regular use. Retinols, when you're starting on retinols and anything stronger than that, it's important to just eliminate for the time being all sort of AHAs, BHAs, anything that have a low pH that might cause exfoliation. Any kind of physical exfoliation would be out of the question as well. I also cut out L-ascorbic acid at the time because, those serums usually are of a pretty low pH. I use around 10 to 15% as well. So, these are concentrated, and in the morning while my skin is retinizing, they will actually cause stinging and sensitivity. So I cut that out for a few months. During that period is when I really sort of began to explore and enjoy vitamin C derivatives. Only add actives back into your routine when things start feeling normal and your skin is normalized, because setbacks can and do happen. So the way I started out, for the first 2 weeks, I would just use it once a week. The next 2 weeks, 2 times a week. The next 2 weeks after that, 3 times a week, and so on. I actually stayed doing 2 times a week for quite a long time, and then I stayed on 3 times a week for an even longer period. I remember moving on to 3 times a week and then just feeling, okay, this is just a little too stingy, a little too dry, flaky. Whenever you're feeling that, just dial back. It's okay. When I started out, I actually used it as the last step of my evening skincare routine, so either mixed in with or on top of my moisturizer. And gradually I got to the point where now I apply it right after my hydrating serum or hydrating toner. That is what's absolutely working for me, giving me the best results, and it's just very comfortable in my routine. But the buffering in the beginning was really important, so either use it after like a heavier serum or after moisturizer. The emollients really helps, not necessarily to weaken the retinoid, it just allows it to absorb to our skin in a time-release fashion, so in a gentler fashion, so it's not just bam. If you do decide to apply it after a serum that's more sort of hydrating and watery, then do make sure that your skin is dry before you apply it. Otherwise, it will absorb very quickly and it can create more irritation. When you are mixing it with something emollient like a cream, there's less chance of that happening. The biggest mistake I made in the past, and I don't think I'm alone here, is, the first day you use it, the next morning you're like, nothing. This is great. No problem. I'll try it again. Day 2, use it again. No problems, no sensitivities. In fact, things might be looking pretty good, like a little shinier, a little tighter. The pores look more refined. Usually around day 4 or 5 is when the madness happens. And as far as application, I will do a demo for you in my skincare routine video, but you do want to get as even a layer as possible. Dr. Sam has something called the 13 dot technique, which is, really, really helpful. You get a pea-sized amount and then 13 dots around your face, and then you spread it from there. I obviously avoid my under eye area, not to say that I haven't used it under my eyes before and suffered gravely for it. I prefer a well-formulated eye product with retinol for under the eyes. I also avoid around the lips because this is very sensitive and can get very raw and painful. I also avoid the sides of my nose because the retinoids can gather there the way foundation does sometimes, and it can end up being just very concentrated and more irritating. A couple of products that made a huge difference in my retinizing phase, just being so much more seamless and less horrifying. One of them, which I've talked about just a lot, is this niacinamide booster, the 10% niacinamide booster from Paula's Choice. This is, one of my all-time favorite serums, and one of the few, other than I would say vitamin C, that is consistently, no matter what I'm trying out, testing out, whatever phase I'm in, this is always in my routine somewhere. It really does so much to counter the inflammatory effects during that whole retinizing period. I mean, it really made all the difference. And it's just a beautiful serum anyway. Also, Klairs Midnight Blue Youth Activating Drops. I don't know what it is about this. I keep going back to it. It's one of my favorite peptide serums. It's just so simple, so concentrated. But I just feel like when I use this alongside any kind of harsher active, I feel like this is so good at skin reparation. It's so calming. It's so soothing. There's something with the guaiazoline here as well. I just feel like it's so good at like healing up the skin or damaged skin and keeping all those horrible effects at bay. If your skin is already adapted to the retinol or retinoic acid that you are using, and it's been about 6 months, everything's normal, and you feel that there's no marked improvement in, visible pores, blackheads, acne, pigmentation, then you may want to consider moving up in strength. And remember, we are looking for improvement, not miracles, so be reasonable. over time, things do and will get better and better. For me, I think the biggest difference is in the visible pores, but also my skin has actually gotten so much more resilient and I would say thicker. I'm able to use and tolerate products now that, before I would have had to exercise extreme caution with. So in my last video, I talked about how I started off with like a 0.2% retinol, and then I went to a 0.012% tretinoin, and now I'm actually using retinol, which I'm loving the result. I feel like it made a really big difference. Like for the week that I didn't have it, everything was just, yeah. I'm really happy where I'm at now. I'm very happy with the results, and I'm happy to continue along this route. And if you're happy with the way things are going, the way they're progressing, then just stay there. You don't need to constantly be putting your skin through so much irritation. The way I see it with active, stronger isn't always better. In fact, stronger can very well be quite damaging sometimes. It's a matter of finding that good balance. So those are my tips for how to start. I will also have a separate routine for you that's all around my retinoid journey. But until then, I'm wishing you great skin health. Bye.